This is my world right now. It's winter in Vancouver, and I am shoveling. I wanted to take a moment to talk about what's going on in our world. So as many of you know, we made a movie last year, or the last 10 years, and it's out there. So you can watch it now. It's really hard to do a video in the snow. In 2016, my wife Helena and I set out to make a movie called 13 Miles. And this is the story of a professional triathlete as he prepares and sacrifices for one final chance to win the world championships. Meanwhile, his ex-girlfriend trains in the sport that she once spectated in order to prove herself, leading to a potential showdown between the two. This took us now 3 years to make this movie and another 3 years to edit, with visual effects and sound design and music and all that other stuff, and final coloring, and it's now out there. A quote I heard from Van Neisted online on YouTube that said, "Having lived one dream, in his intoxication, he neglected to dream another." Totally butchered that quote. See, there were many moments of frustration at just squeezing out time to make this film finally show it in a theater, which we did in December last year, which was amazing. As each day that we finished filming always meant that, you know, whatever we had envisioned for that day was now over, and you know, the dreams we had for a particular scene and so on were done, and that meant we'd have to take what we had and move on. And there were a lot of days where, you know, you left the day going, "Oh, I'm never going to do it that way again," which meant you weren't exactly, you felt good, but you didn't feel like it was real at that point. And it's funny because I felt the same way about Ironman triathlons when I used to do triathlons, ironically, because this movie is a movie about triathlon. I remember doing my first Ironman, being over my head, not really believing that this was real, that there was actually a moment where I might finish the Ironman or finish a marathon, even when I first started doing marathons. Which is what this movie felt like. Like every day I was an imposter pretending to be a real film director. But after 30 days of filming, plus pickups, plus editing, plus learning visual effects, still realizing that I'm not real. It's not a real film. I'm not really a film director. Who the fuck am I? This guy at 40 years old making a movie for the first time. Most film directors start in their 20s, and here I am in my 40s trying to make one. This made me kind of afraid to show the movie, afraid of finishing it, because once it was out there, then it meant that I had to stop hiding behind the excuse that of it's just not ready, and actually just put it out there for the world and be judged on the work that I had done. And I kind of spent the last few years being resentful, which is something I resent as well. The lack of progress, like hitting that sort of wall, and the fact that it wasn't the movie that we had dreamed of making 10 years ago. Like, practical purposes meant that we had to make the movie for what we had available to us. All the work that required in the visual effects department, and spending all that time learning how to do visual effects, getting through to a certain point of competency, then realizing how bad the ones that I did in the beginning were, and having to go back and do them again and just redoing over and over again, because we just knew it wasn't good enough yet. You know, not to make it perfect, but to make it good and to make it worthy of the title of a feature movie, a feature theatrical movie. We're going to do it again. We're going to make another movie. Just the idea of making that movie, we have to kind of get psyched up again for that, the preparation, the work that we're going to have to do, then doing the work, the resentments towards the time that it's going to take, the mental energy, the physical energy, and then all the failures. And with it, every day that we weren't working on the movie was a day we should have been working on the movie. But through all that resentment, I realize now that the gratitude towards I have of making that movie, making 13 Miles, and then it's growing and it's growing every day. I'm so grateful for it, grateful for the opportunity to make this fantastically bootstrapped movie with my wife Helena, and for us to take this incredible journey together Grateful to all the people who did say yes to us. Grateful for my parents who loved and supported us along the way. Grateful for the amazing cast and crew who believed in us and came along for the ride and the journey to help us turn this movie from an idea into reality. Grateful to all those triathletes and triathlons out there and triathlon race organizers who let us film at their events and let us film them. And to, rental houses and locations and so on that helped us along the way. Grateful for all the breakthroughs and the inspiration, and grateful for the work itself, for the preparation, and to finally see it up on the big screen and on streaming services. Grateful for the wonderful reviews we've been getting, and also the not so great reviews, because it just means that it's out there, it's in public. Grateful as well for the resentment, because the resentment makes the work feel worthwhile. Being resentful and and having all of that work and frustration along the way makes it all the more sweet in the end, and makes me all the more grateful now. Thank you to everybody for being such a big part of this decade of living a dream of being finally a real movie director.